All right, hello there, my friends. Long time no see. Hope everything is going well for you. This particular video is simply to cover, and again, probably a review for most of you, but it's going to cover finding a database article because the next step in our process towards the summative for our unit over the other Westmore does require, as it says here on the screen beside me, does require you to find a database article about the societal topic or one of the societal topics that you've been tracing throughout our study of the other Westmore. And once you find that article, if you have the ability to print it, I strongly recommend that you print your article. At a minimum, make sure that you save the permalink so that you can get back to your article very easily. And so the emphasis that I wanted to give you over here says to use your homeschool LMC databases. And then if you need additional help, if you don't know how to use the databases at your school, right, or you're having issues with passwords or something like that, please reach out to your homeschool librarians for some assistance. So what I'm just going to show you next, I am going to show you each of the 3 high schools' library websites and where to access databases, because all 3, thankfully, are similar in how you will go about getting to the databases to search for your article. Okay, so first off, think about the topics that you have been tracing. Have you been tracing education, poverty, race? Right? What is it you've been tracing? That's what you're going to want to find an article about. So let's say that I've been tracing family, right? Maybe I'm interested in learning more about single moms raising boys. Or maybe I'm tracing peers and I really want to do some more investigating about the influence of peers on decision making or life trajectory, right? Those are things that I'm going to search for on the databases so that I have a basis for comparison. I want to be able to compare one person's story in the other Westmore to what the research says, right? Trying to figure out, okay, is other Westmore's story an anomaly? Like that doesn't happen very often? Or is it actually something that's very common, right? And so just something to kind of investigate there, do a little compare and contrasting with what we're seeing in the book. Okay, so I'm going to start here. The first tab that I have open, this is the Lee Summit West Library homepage. And so to start with, I'm simply going to click, let me move my face out of the way, I'm sorry. I'm going to click the research button here at the top, and I'm going to click here where it says databases. Okay, from here I'm going to have an entire huge list of all the databases that we have access to, along with passwords. And so if you are going to be trying to find an article at home, you might want to use your cell phone, right? Take a picture of the passwords here so that you know the password when you get home, because these passwords will not show up once you leave the district network, right? Some good places to start. Academic Search Elite is a great database to start with. Galen Context is also a good one, but you can kind of scroll through here and see if there's other things that you think might work. Okay, again, so this is Lee Summit West. This is what it looks like here. If you are a Bronco, this is your library homepage, the Lee Summit North LMC, and you're going to do exactly the same thing I just did with the Lee Summit West library page. You're going to click Research at the top, and then, and I kind of like this, at Lee Summit North they have the most common and top databases here at the top, and those are actually the ones I would start with. I'm not going to lie to you. JSTOR is great, In Context High School is great, but if you want to use something not listed there, you'll just click on All Lee Summit North Databases A to Z, and it's going to have all of them listed here for you. Okay, my friends at Lee Summit High School, here's what your library homepage looks like. Exactly the same as I did for Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West. You're going to click Research, and then when you scroll down, you'll see here's some general databases, some good places to get started, right? And they divide them down into different areas, but there are all of your databases there for you. Again, JSTOR is a great place to start. EBSCOhost is great. Explore is great. Any of those I think are good starting spots for us. Just because I am on the network here at Lee Summit West, that is the database that I'm going to use. And I'm simply going to start with a very generic and general database. So I'm going to start with Academic Search Elite. Strongly recommend. It's just kind of a general database that we can use to find some information. Okay, so now it looks like I have to sign in. My apologies. I'll just click sign in with Google. Oh my goodness, maybe we'll get into this, maybe not, we'll see. Okay, we're just going to skip that for now. Okay, well, maybe I'm not going to start with this one. Let me find a different database that I can get into. We've been having some problems here at West with EBSCOhost. And so hopefully you guys don't all have this issue. So I'm just going to go back. Let me search for something different. Let me go to JSTOR. I'll just start on JSTOR. JSTOR is another good one. Okay, and then what you get here is a search page, kind of similar to what you would type into Google. The only problem is you can't just type in a question into a database and expect it to yield Google-like results. Just not going to happen. So here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend you follow this process pretty closely. I would click Advanced Search at the top. All right, and now I'm going to have some options here to limit my results. So what are some terms that I'm wanting to find? Well, maybe I want to search for peer influence, because you guys know I was tracing peers throughout. Peer influence, and here I can do more. I can do peer influence and crime, peer influence and drugs, peer influence and life trajectory. A lot of different things I can do here. So I'm going to do peer influence and crime. I don't know. Right, and I'm curious what I'm going to find. Now I'm going to keep scrolling, so I've typed in peer influence and crime. So it's only going to give me results that have both peer influence and crime. If you want to start broad, you could just do peer influence and see what you get and then narrow from there too. But I'm going to come down, and down here it says, okay, what kind of results do I want to get? Articles, reviews, books. Well, I'm just going to leave that open for now just to see what I get. Now I can limit it by date. You know, the other Westmore, the book is older, but I'm going to see if I can't find some stuff that's pretty current. So I'm going to put in today's date as my current, and I don't know, I'm maybe going to go back 5 years and see if I, you know, again, I'm really limiting just to see what I get. I may not get anything with limiting it to the last 5 years, but we'll see. Okay, and then I can narrow it down more if I want a certain type of journal. I can do that, but I think I'm just going to go with what I have here, and I'm going to click OK and search and see what I get. Maybe. Submit advanced search, and let's see what we find. There are 2 errors in this form. It didn't like my date. Okay, so then I would go back and fix that. Where did I even put the date? Let's see here. Oh, so we want, let's just do 2020 to 2025 and see if we get anything there. Again, I'm going to scroll all the way down and hit submit. Oh, 923 results. That is a whole lot. So here's what I'm going to do. Over here on the left-hand side, though, we need to click, and I don't even see it on my screen here. Part of my screen is cut off. But I've got the dates limited, but I need to limit it to full text. And so I'm trying to figure out, where's my full text limit button? Advanced search. Usually there's a button that says full text, because a lot of my results were not full text, and that is definitely not going to work. So I'm going to go back and see where I can find. Search by relevance. Okay, remove all filters. We're going to leave filters. Well, usually you can click full text, and so you're going to notice down here some of these do not have full text, and so I'm just going to have to be very careful because I was not able to limit, for some reason, I was not able to limit it to full text, and I do not know why it didn't. Okay, so let me scroll down, and I'm going to need to take my screen over a little bit so you could see. Oh. So down here, I do have it checked. It says content I can access. There's a little button down there, content I can access full text. Okay, so anything that is brought up here should be something that I have full access to. If you don't have the full text, it's not going to work, okay? But here, as I'm looking at the world after COVID-19, that has nothing to do with what I'm searching for, peer influence and crime. Not going to work. Right, so a lot of these, right, not going to work. So I just keep clicking and keep scrolling till I find something. So maybe I'm going to go back up and refine my search. Right, maybe I'm going to say just peer influence. Oh, helps if I can type. Peer influence, and I'm going to say life trajectory, like how important are peers? Okay, content I can access. submit advanced search. But I don't know, like I'm looking for something very specific, and it keeps bringing up COVID stuff. So I'm going to need to modify a little bit more. But let's pretend here that this first article is exactly what I want. It deals with, you know, like other Westmore, author Westmore, Tony, right? It really brings in this whole idea of how much peers influence us towards good or towards bad. And so let's say, okay, so I've clicked on it. I've read this article. I clicked on the wrong thing. Right, so if I click on it, I read the article and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I need. It's got good stuff. I'm going to be able to compare it to what I've got. Right, then I've got some options over here on the right hand side. So here's where my article pops up. I can print it. Looks like it is 67 pages, so I'm actually not going to print, right? But here's what I would encourage you to do. As soon as you read through it and you discover, yes, it's going to work. First thing I would do is click the Cite button, right? And I would get MLA citation. I'm going to copy that and paste that into a Google Doc so that I have that for later. And I am also going to download a hard copy, right, of my article. That way I have a hard copy of it in case something happens and it disappears from the database. I'm going to need a copy, right? And you can also hit the Save button, right, and log in. You can save it to an account if you would like to do that. But I am going to strongly encourage you, because we've had so many problems, at least here at Lee's Summit West, with our databases like disappearing and us getting locked out, to make sure that you download a copy to your computer so you have it saved so that you can keep coming back to it. Okay? And so that's how I would go about finding an article. It's going to be the same thing at any of your 3 high schools, right? And all of the databases work very similarly. So you're going to see very similar. Make sure you click Advanced Search. That's going to help you narrow down your topics. And so it doesn't really matter which database you're using, but you need to find one that really relates well to your societal topic. So like I said, if you're tracing family, specifically what have you sticky noted about family throughout your study of the other Westmore? Have you sticky noted mainly moms and their discipline styles, or have you sticky noted mainly the lack of fathers from part 1, right? What exactly is it? So we can narrow down here. Again, our goal or our job is going to be to compare what we see in the book to compare what we're finding in this article with the research that we are finding. Essentially, we're trying to figure out, you know, is this story of author Westmore common, right? Do lots of students, or, you know, lots of boys who grow up without dads in the Bronx and all that stuff, is it common that they end up in military school and become like wildly successful, right? The governor of Baltimore? Or is it more common that they end up more like other Westmore, you know? And so that's something we can really compare and contrast the research. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this document. All right, so the summative assessment, I'm just going to quickly review this before I let you off this video here. All right, again, here are the societal topics that we are looking for that you have been sticky noting along the way. Now you're trying to find this step, okay? We are on research and compare. It says you'll need to find an academic research article from a database for this assignment. Your article must come from a database, can't come from Google. I did put together an extra slideshow here to help you in case you get stuck with the databases. Again, don't get frustrated with the databases. It's really just trial and error typing things in and then just looking through the results list and seeing what's going to work for you. After you have got your article, you've printed it out, you've read it, or you've downloaded it, then we're going to be comparing one person's story to that research. Okay, so decide whether to focus on writer Westmore, other Westmore, or a smaller character. Review your notes from the book on moments and passages related to your societal issue. Look for moments that support and contradict the research. Look for both obvious and subtle connections. And when choosing to use textual details, we're going to make sure that we cite things correctly. And so, you know, a lot of students say, well, Ms. Humphreys, this article is too long. I'm going to be very honest with you. You probably want it to be longer because it's actually going to make your job a lot easier when you have to start comparing and contrasting. If you choose an article that's only a page or two long, it's probably not going to work, right? You're not going to have enough text to pull quotes and compare and things like that. So don't choose the shortest article, but we don't necessarily need one that's 100 pages either. So just make sure that you're being particular that it does relate to your societal topic that you really want to investigate. Okay? All right, coming back to this, if you have any questions, let me know. Once you have read and annotated your article, you know what it's about, you're feeling good about it, then you're going to complete the assignment organizing your thoughts. I'll pull that up super quick. I'll have to make my own copy of it. But organizing your thoughts is just that, right? It's a pre-writing document to get you ready for the actual essay. So you're going to give me a quote from the research article here, quote from the other Westmore here, and then you're going to give me a point of compare and contrast. I've given you an example. The first main conclusion suggested that when looking at the number of arrestees that tested positive for consumption of illegal drugs, they found that those people weren't connected with aggressive crimes. However, the findings differentiate with arrestees that had frequent encounters of alcohol use. Quote from the other Westmore. In the other Westmore, we can find evidence of this theory when the author Westmore reflected on his mother's past relationship with her abusive boyfriend who suffered from alcoholism. Okay, and here's where I connect those two. So I've chosen a quote from the research, quote from the other Westmore. Here's how I connect them. I said, in this aspect, the research article supports what we see with the author's mom. Though brief, the book mentioned how her ex was an alcoholic who was abusive towards her. The research says that frequent encounters of alcohol use correlates with aggressive crimes, like assault on the author's mom alluded to in the book. Right? So here's where I'm saying, here's what I found in the book, here's what I found in the article. They are similar. Here's how they're similar. Okay, so you're going to fill out all of these boxes for total, starting here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so 4 points of comparison and contrast between your article and what we see in the book. Then you'll submit here on Schoology. Okay, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. This week's going to take a little bit of time, so make sure you plan accordingly. Okay, all right, my friends, again, reach out if you have questions. I'll see you soon. All right, bye-bye.